Have you ever wondered how to grow your own vegetables at home during winter? Today, we're going to delve into the fascinating world of winter gardening. While it may seem like a challenge, with the right knowledge and a bit of patience, it's entirely possible to cultivate a thriving vegetable garden right in your own backyard, even in the chilliest of seasons. Imagine enjoying fresh, homegrown produce even when snow is falling outside. Not only does winter gardening allow you to save money on groceries, but it also offers an opportunity to engage in a rewarding hobby. There's something uniquely satisfying about nurturing a seed into a plant and eventually harvesting its fruits, particularly during the frosty winter months. So don't let the cold weather dissuade you. Growing vegetables at home during winter is not only possible, but also quite enjoyable and rewarding. Stay tuned as we explore how to choose the right vegetables, prepare the ground, and nurture your winter garden to success. First things first, you need to know which vegetables to grow during winter. Not all veggies are created equal, and some are more suited to the colder months than others. Let's take a look at a few winter-friendly choices. Kale, for instance, is a powerhouse of nutrition and surprisingly frost-resistant. It's a hardy leafy green that can withstand a little chill, and it actually becomes sweeter after a frost. Spinach, too, is a cold weather companion. It's one of the fastest-growing leafy greens and can thrive in cool soil. Carrots are another winter wonder. They can be sown late in the fall for a winter harvest, and like kale, the cold can actually enhance their flavor by turning their starches into sugars. Other great options include Brussels sprouts, which mature in the cooler months, and leeks, which are incredibly resilient and can be harvested even from beneath the snow. Now, you may wonder why these vegetables are suitable for winter gardening. The answer lies in their biology. These plants have adapted to survive and even thrive in colder temperatures. Their cells have a high tolerance for freezing, which allows them to continue photosynthesis, albeit at a slower rate, even as the days grow shorter and colder. Furthermore, these vegetables have leaves, roots, or bulbs that are edible and can store nutrients over the winter months. This means you can enjoy fresh, homegrown produce even when most other plants are dormant. It's also worth noting that winter gardening can be beneficial for the soil. Growing these winter crops can prevent soil erosion and nutrient loss that can occur when the ground is left bare. Plus, many of these vegetables, like spinach and kale, can help improve soil structure and fertility for the next growing season. Choosing the right winter vegetables is the first step to a successful home garden in the colder months. With a little planning and preparation, you can enjoy a bountiful harvest all year round. Once you've chosen your winter vegetables, it's time to prepare your garden. This all-important step will set the stage for a successful winter harvest. Let's start with soil preparation. Winter vegetables prefer a well-drained, fertile soil with a pH between 6 and 7. You can achieve this by adding compost or well-rotted manure to your garden beds. This will not only feed your plants but also improve the soil structure and water-holding capacity. If you're unsure about your soil's pH, consider getting a soil testing kit from your local garden store. Next, let's talk about location. Most winter vegetables require at least 4 to 6 hours of sunlight each day. South-facing locations are typically the best as they receive the most light during winter. If you have tall trees or buildings casting shadows over your garden, you might need to consider relocating your beds. Now, on to bed preparation. Raised beds are a fantastic option for winter gardening as they provide excellent drainage and warm up more quickly in the spring. Aim for beds that are about 3 to 4 feet wide. This allows you to reach the center without stepping on the soil. When it comes to length, go with what works best for your space. Before you start planting, it's a good idea to plan out your garden. Consider the size of your plants at maturity and space them accordingly. This will ensure they have room to grow without competing for light, water, and nutrients. Lastly, don't forget about mulching. Applying a layer of mulch over your garden beds will protect your plants from harsh winter conditions, conserve moisture, and suppress weeds. Straw, pine needles, and shredded leaves all make for excellent mulch. And there you have it. With your ground prepared, you're ready to plant your winter vegetables. Remember, a little planning and preparation now can lead to a bountiful harvest in the colder months. Gardening in winter may be a bit of a challenge, but the rewards are well worth it. Happy gardening! Now let's get those winter vegetables in the ground. Planting winter vegetables is a process that rewards patience and care. Starting with seeds or young plants, the first step is to plant them at the correct depth in your prepared soil. This might vary by vegetable, but generally seeds should be planted at a depth approximately 3 times their size. For young plants, you want to plant them so the top of the root ball is level with the soil surface. Once your winter vegetables are snug in the ground, it's time to think about watering. The trick is to keep the soil consistently moist, not waterlogged. Overwatering can lead to root rot and other issues, while underwatering can leave your plants parched and stunted. A good rule of thumb is to water deeply once a week, but adjust this routine based on your local weather. If it's been particularly dry, you might need to water more frequently, and if it's been rainy, you might need to water less. Next up is fertilizing. Winter vegetables, like all plants, need nutrients to grow. A balanced, slow-release fertilizer applied at planting time can provide your plants with the nutrients they need throughout the season. Remember, too much of a good thing can be harmful. Over-fertilizing can cause lush, leafy growth at the expense of the vegetables you're trying to grow, so follow the package instructions carefully. One of the biggest challenges of winter gardening is protecting your plants from frost. Even winter-hardy vegetables can be damaged by a hard freeze. There are several ways to protect your plants from frost. One is to cover them with a frost blanket or floating row cover on cold nights. These covers trap heat from the ground, creating a microclimate that's a few degrees warmer than the surrounding air. Another option is to use cloches, which are bell-shaped covers that protect individual plants. Throughout the winter, keep a close eye on your plants. Watch for signs of pests or disease, such as yellowing leaves or holes in the foliage. If you notice anything amiss, take action promptly to prevent the issue from spreading. Remember, winter vegetables are tough, but they do need some care to thrive. Regular watering, proper fertilization, and protection from frost are all key to a successful winter garden. With a bit of attention and care, you'll be rewarded with a bounty of fresh, homegrown vegetables even in the coldest months. By providing your winter vegetables with the care they need, you can ensure a successful harvest. After all your hard work, it's finally time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Harvesting winter vegetables is an art in itself, and knowing when your vegetables are ready to be picked is paramount. Typically, root vegetables like carrots, beets, and parsnips are ready when their tops peek out from the soil. Leafy greens such as kale and chard can be harvested as soon as they're large enough to eat. Brussels sprouts, on the other hand, are best after a frost when they sweeten up. Once you've harvested your bounty, it's crucial to store them correctly to ensure they last. Root vegetables are best stored in a cool, dark, and humid place. A basement or cellar would be ideal. To store these, remove the tops and place them in a container filled with damp sand or peat moss. This will prevent them from drying out and help extend their shelf life. Leafy greens, however, require a different approach. After harvesting, remove any damaged leaves, give them a good rinse, and pat them dry. You can then store them in the refrigerator, preferably in the crisper drawer wrapped in a damp cloth. This will help them stay fresh and crisp for a longer period. For Brussels sprouts, after harvesting, remove any yellow or damaged outer leaves. Then place them in a plastic bag and store in the refrigerator. They can stay fresh for several weeks this way. Remember, it's always a good idea to only harvest what you need. Freshly picked vegetables are always the tastiest. However, if you find yourself with a surplus, consider sharing with friends or family, or even preserving your produce by canning or freezing. In the end, the goal is to enjoy the fruits of your labor for as long as possible. From the first sprout to the last harvest, each stage of winter gardening brings its own reward. By knowing when to harvest and how to store your winter vegetables, you're not just extending the life of your produce, but also the satisfaction of your winter gardening journey. Properly harvesting and storing your winter vegetables will ensure you can enjoy them for months to come. Gardening is not without its challenges, but don't worry, we've got you covered. Let's dive into some of the common issues you might face when growing winter vegetables at home. First off, pests. Yes, even in the cold months, some critters are still active. Slugs, snails, and aphids are common culprits. Combat these by using organic pest control methods such as introducing beneficial insects or using organic sprays. Next, diseases. Fungi and bacteria love damp conditions, and winter can provide that. Mildew, rot, and blight can all strike your winter crops. To avoid these, make sure your garden has good air circulation and drainage. Remove any affected plants promptly to prevent the disease from spreading. Then, there's inadequate light. Winter days are shorter, and this can impact your plant's growth. To ensure your winter veggies get the light they need, place them in the sunniest spot available. If natural light is scarce, consider using grow lights. These can supplement the sun's light and keep your plants growing strong. Over or underwatering can also pose a problem. Winter vegetables generally need less water than summer ones, but they still need some. The key is balance. You don't want your soil too wet or too dry. A good rule of thumb is to water when the top inch of soil feels dry to the touch. Lastly, let's talk frost. Some winter vegetables can tolerate a bit of frost, but others, particularly tender leafy greens, can suffer damage. To protect your plants, consider using frost cloths or cold frames. These can provide an extra layer of protection against the cold. Remember, every gardener encounters problems. It's part of the journey. The key is to stay vigilant. Keep learning and don't be too hard on yourself. With these troubleshooting tips, you can overcome any gardening hurdle that comes your way. So there you have it, your guide to growing winter vegetables at home. We've journeyed together through this process, starting with the selection of the right vegetables that can withstand the frosty cold. We've prepared the ground, ensuring it's fertile and ready to nurture your seeds and seedlings. Then, we talked about planting and caring for your winter crops, emphasizing the importance of regular watering, appropriate fertilizing, and ensuring the right amount of light. We also covered the rewarding part of the process, the harvesting and storing of your winter vegetables. Remember, patience is key here. Finally, we explored some common problems you might encounter along the way and how to troubleshoot them. Growing winter vegetables at home is not just a hobby, it's a journey, a rewarding experience that fills your kitchen with fresh, nutritious produce even in the colder months. With these tips and tricks, you're well on your way to a bountiful winter harvest. Happy gardening!